Senator from West Virginia.
Mr. President, thank you, first of all, to my colleague from Indiana. There's nobody that's been a greater ally to me and a greater friend than Senator Donnelly in some of the fights we've had, just basically making sure there's a fairness between business and workers, and that workers are treated fair. We fought for that. You have miners in Indiana, which you brought me into your state, and I had a chance of spending some time with them. I appreciate that very much. And we're going to continue to make sure that we get the job done. This should be a conversation we're not having right now, fighting for miners' pension. It was all rolled into one bill. The health care and pensions was done at one time. We had to pay for, we had it worked out. We thought we had an agreement. It was bipartisan. Came out of the Senate Finance in a bipartisan way. I want to thank Senator Hatch for taking an interest in leading that. So we're going to get back and fix this one now. We got half the job done, half of it more to do. But 2 weeks ago marked the one-year anniversary of passing the permanent fix for the miners' health care. Provided 22,600 coal miners just in my state alone from losing their health care. Now the Joint Select Committee, which I'm very proud to be a member of, on the solvency of multi-employer pension plans, is determined to find a permanent solution for the miners' pension. Over 70 years ago, President Harry Truman recognized the importance of the coal that our miners produce for this country and promised that the government would guarantee our brave coal miners benefits in return for their services. Let me tell you, up until that point in time, my grandparents on both sides of my family, my mom and my dad, both grandparents were coal miners, and both of them started little grocery stores. Up until that period of time, there were no guarantees, no benefits. And when they said you owed your soul to the company store, that was literally and figuratively correct. My grandfather, he was up until 1927. He said he worked and loading coal since he was 9 years old and never got a paycheck. It was script. And at the end of the pay, it was always he owed them more than they paid him. And so they were fighting for this for many, many years. And Harry Truman finally realized what the coal industry and the coal miner has done for America. There's not been another group of people that have given more in their blood, sweat, and tears and their hard labor. They have, I tell people, they mined the coal that made the steel, that built the guns and ships that defended our country, helped build the Industrial Revolution, and really helped lift the middle class to what it is and what it has been. So over 70 years ago, President Truman recognized that importance, and he made sure that that would be not gone unnoticed. He passed the bill. It was Krug, it was John L. Lewis and at that time Senator Krug, who passed a piece of legislation. This was not from taxpayers' money. It basically said for every ton of coal that's mined from this day forward by the mine workers of America, that a percentage of that price of that commodity, of that coal, would go towards their benefit. So they would have something. Let me tell you exactly what we've got today. The average miner's pension is $595. We're not talking thousands of dollars. And most of this goes to widows their husbands passed away. And without this is their lifeline. And in 2022, it goes away. The agreement was a sacred promise between the workers and the country. And it captured the very best of America and who we are. But the multi-employer pension system in the United States is in crisis. As many as 114 multi-employer pension plans, including the United Mine Workers of America, the 1974 pension fund, are expected to become insolvent. And the miners' pension fund is up first. We're the first ones on the block. This critical plan, which covers 87,000 retired miners, 27,000 in my state alone, and 20,000 full vested current workers, is projected to become totally insolvent by 2022 or sooner. If Congress allows for these pension plans to go under, the results will be devastating for retirees. Current employees and the communities these companies and beneficiaries are members of, including those in West Virginia. And these financial losses will be felt throughout the communities UMWA retirees live and spend money in. Now, we must work together to prevent this catastrophe and shore up miners' pensions plans that they have earned and paid into. Again, I said, they have earned and paid into. Let me tell you how most of them became insolvent. It didn't happen until the 1980s as far as the bankruptcy laws in America. Bankruptcy laws in our great country puts the financial institutions before the human being that work for the benefits that they've earned and paid for. There's got to be a correction. There has to be some right done there, because these miners and all workers all over this country that basically leave that money in paying for their benefits and then at the end of their work life, it's gone because of some conglomeration, some type of a corporate takeover, or through a bankruptcy, and this can't be tolerated any longer. We could not have passed a permanent fix for minors' health care without the support of my colleagues on both sides of the aisle and President Trump. President Trump, I've spoken to him about, and he's all for it, trying to help the minors. He knows what they've done for the country, and I appreciate very much him speaking up in support of West Virginia coal miners and hardworking people across the country. But we had no better advocates for securing permanent health care fix than the retired miners. They come up here day by day, putting a real face, a real family, and really challenges that they have. And they did this for a year or more on end. For years, they walked the halls of Congress. They met with all representatives and staff. They worked the phones, wrote letters, urging us to keep the promise that was made to them. Now, I stand by them, leading the fight to make sure retired coal miners' pensions won't be taken away, too. And we're not going to let this happen. Throughout the process, I've talked with thousands of West Virginians who would be devastated if they lost their pensions, and received letters from miners and their families about the fear and anxiety that comes with not knowing whether they will be able to pay their mortgage or put food on the table. I'm going to, if I may, Mr. Chairman, my good friend, Senator from Indiana, if he'll indulge me just a little longer. I want to read to you. Ricky from Hewitt, West Virginia, is worried that if his pension is taken away or reduced, he won't be able to support his family. He said, "Joe, as a retired coal miner, my family and I rely greatly on these very modest benefits. Losing or even having my pension reduced would cause great hardship on my family. A coal miner's pension is not very much to start with. I'm not asking for a handout, only what I have earned through the years of hard work. Benny from Oceana, West Virginia would have to choose between buying food or paying utility bills. He said, Joe, I only draw a small pension of $215.96 each month. But if I lose that, I will have to decide between food or utility bills. I am an older disabled coal miner with a small Social Security check. The loss of my pension check would be devastating. Judy from Sharples is worried that if she lost her late husband's pension, her and her grandson wouldn't be able to make it. These are people who are basically being second parents because of the parents haven't been able to be dysfunctional. She wrote, I'm not a rich person, but if I lose my late husband's pension, I'll lose everything I have. My husband worked 30-plus years at the mines with a promise that we would be taken care of. Yes, I get Social Security, but that won't cover my regular bills by itself, not to mention home and car insurance, plus taxes. After securing health care benefit for retired miners, we proved that Congress can work together and put partisan politics aside. This was truly done in a bipartisan way. It's a philosophy that I have followed through my life in public service. In the West Virginia State Legislature, as the governor of the great state of West Virginia, now as a U.S. Senator representing the great state of West Virginia. The coal miners are among the hardest working people in America, and their lives are powering the nation and keeping it strongest in the world. So I leave you with this. I said, when people ask where you're from, let me tell you where I'm from. I'm from a little state that has the most patriotic people in the nation. They have fought in every war and conflict, shed more blood, lost more lives for the cause of freedom than most any state. They have done the heavy lifting of mining the coal, making the steel, and building the guns and ships that defend us every day. And the good Lord has been so kind to us, He gave us a great venue. My little state's called West Virginia. We hope you come, and when you do, we hope you stay. Thank you, Mr. President.